I hate to break the fishing news up here, Chuck, but I'd like to speak about the ice hockey.
Congratulations, you're one of the 13 listeners of the Real Life Podcast.
We just traded a migraine in for like an orgasm.
Might want to mark that down, Chuck.
Yep. All of my projects are on schedule until they're not.
A member of the Nation Network of Podcasts.
About as funny as we're going to get today.
Episode 238 of the Real Life Podcast. Hello, I'm Tyler Yaremchuk. Chalmers, Bag Milk, Jay, and Wanye are all here as well. It's a loaded pod. We got a lot of stuff to get to. We got news on what the NHL is going to look like next season. We got our friend Scott Hastings from OddsShark coming up. We got an update on the Mousepocalypse happening inside Wanye Manor. We will have more on that in just a second as well. But first, I need to tell you that this podcast is brought to you by the fine folks at Oodle Noodle. 14 locations in the Edmonton area. Number 15 is coming right now. Our listener profile, he wants one out closer to Calgary. And maybe one day, right?
Yeah, probably sooner rather than later. Probably within the next 12 months.
I just want to say, before you start on the listener profile, congrats, Jay, Wanye, everybody at Oodle Noodle, the $100,000 donation video that went up this week.
Unreal.
Pretty incredible.
Yeah, crazy. When we started doing this in March, we didn't know where the heck it was going to go and how big it would go. But, crazy milestone to kind of look back and reflect. And super grateful for everyone kind of supporting us since the beginning of all this to allow us to do this. So, thank you guys. And thank you, everyone.
So it was $100,000 and 14,000 meals you've donated?
16,000 meals, but yes, 100,000. Yeah.
Wow.
It was even interesting. Josh Park made the video for it. Watching just as the months passed, just following along with the different AHS guidelines, and as you changed in the videos, and as everybody else changed in the videos. Really impressed. Go check it out. Oodle_noodle on Twitter. Oodle Noodlegram on Instagram. And
if people want to get involved, like just because we hit 100,000 doesn't mean you're stopping, right? We're still going
till the end of time.
Yeah, no, this isn't going away. So this is something we did to support the community during some tough times. But I think the working with these amazing charities, dealing with the people behind the scenes, supporting these agencies that are affecting people or that are dealing with people who are need support and are I'm trying to think of the term, but anyways, it doesn't matter. It's been very powerful for them, for the people and communities they support, and even just for us at Oodle Noodle. So this ain't going anywhere. We are committed to do this forever.
It's weird, like thinking back, like I guess we could have been doing this all the way along.
Well, we did it. It's just there was some frequency to it, right? Yeah. So it's like, oh, okay, we'll work with this partner on this and just kind of like do whatever, provide food here. There was just no consistent rhythm or accountability to it. So now it's like a focal point.
I honestly think in going to Calgary that giving money to local charities has a much bigger brand value than getting bus bench ads and shit.
Yeah.
I think this is the way to go forward and market is we help your community.
Yeah.
Here's how.
100%.
Cool.
10% of all in-store proceeds at Oodle Noodle go towards a local charity. Just quickly again, what's the charity you're working with right now? I keep saying we, like the pie. I mean, we all one big family.
We are. This is a family.
Hey, if you've ordered Oodle Noodle in your life, you're part of the we.
True.
We are still with the Christmas Bureau. So nice. I don't know if you saw the video. I dressed up as Tito the turkey. And
Surveyor Brett had some fun with it again, of course.
Yeah. So that's I'm getting ripped for that one, but that's kind of the point. It's working with Christmas Bureau. Obviously, they do a lot of great work during this time. And then today, shot the video for our next charity partner next week. And you know what? I don't know what it is. We've had a really soft, mild winter so far, and it's -4 outside. And I was outside for 30 minutes to shoot this video, and I am frozen still. I'm drinking hot water right now just to try to warm up the core,
Interesting how we've been spoiled through this first chunk of December as well.
Yeah, it's the warmest December in 50 years or something like that.
It's the redemption for the pandemic. You're locked in your houses for the most part, but at least it's nice out.
Although, true to Edmonton's form on Sunday, I'm looking at the old weather app on my laptop here. It says -15, so welcome back to the tundra a little bit.
Giddy up. Okay, let's quickly get to our listener profile here. Today's listener is one of our Instagram friends. It's Daniel Vandenbrink, so you can give him a follow. And here's what he's got for the listener questionnaire. His name is Daniel. He works in aviation. He used to work for Flair Air, and he met us when we were flying on a nation vacation. So how about that?
Going to Vegas.
Yep. He now works at the Calgary International Airport. He's the guy who you see breaking all your shit. He doesn't actually break all our shit. He added that in there, though. One fun, interesting story about himself. His kid was born on the side of Stony Trail in Calgary. He says he had to start the delivery process himself, and it was terrifying.
Wow. That's like a movie.
Yeah.
Wanye, as the new dad on the podcast, could you have ever seen yourself getting involved in the delivery of young Wanye?
I think it's amazing he wasn't born by the side of the road, quite frankly. I can see how that shit could happen. You're doing stuff. You're going to get a furnace filter. Next thing you know, baby's on his way or her way. I get it.
When did Daniel start listening to the podcast? It was the Brandon Davidson interview that roped him in, and he's been hooked ever since. When he worked in Edmonton, he was commuting between Airdrie and Edmonton weekly, so that's when he'd get his podcast listening in. Number 4 on it, which is what's your favorite podcast moment? He says it's usually and you'll like this one, Bag Milk. It's usually a quip from Bag Milk. He's witty and always makes me laugh. He was once talking about Puljujärvi and said JP could scratch his brain with his tongue.
It's true.
So some love for Bagged Milk.
Thank you.
Number 5, favorite Oilers moment or memory. His mom used to babysit Ryan Smith when Smitty was a young boy. He said obviously was a big fan of his growing up. When he had his teeth knocked out in the playoffs and was rushing down the hallway to the dressing room, the story goes he opened a door quickly, it hit an attendant. Smitty felt so bad that after the game he apologized and even bought her flowers. Adds that Smitty, always a great leader on and off the ice. That's what solidified his love for Ryan Smith and his love for the Oilers. No oodle noodle order because he doesn't, again, have one near him since he lives in Airdrie. But that Calgary area, it's getting one, baby. And his bonus answer for Wanye is that he's a solid 7.
Gross. I love it.
Well, good for Daniel. He's got some stuff in common. I have a brother that lives in Airdrie, and he also works at the airport. He's a pilot, but his wife also works at the airport as well. A lot of Airdrie airport workers.
What's up with everybody listening? Everybody sending in profiles being like 2 degrees separated. Like, my mom left my dad for Mac T. I'm Brian Smith's babysitter. I'm fucking Jeff Delorier's third cousin. This is all impressive. Very impressive.
Stories sell things, man. That's why you get invested in stuff, because of the stories. I've told you, He had a story like that. Now Oilers are his favorite team, even though he lives in Airdrie. You'd suspect that he'd be a Flames fan, but he's not.
At least the Airdrie Eagles.
I always respect Oilers fans behind enemy lines. You know what I mean? They've got tough sledding down there.
It's not an easy life.
I've got to go off of the mention of Jeff Delorier, Wanye. I have a specific request because what jersey number did he wear? Like 38 or?
Yep.
It was a weird one.
So we always used to feature him, or always do, on the 100-day countdown to the season starting. Which we should probably be doing some kind of iteration of that now, Bag Milk. Well, I guess
actually, you know what? You just reminded me. I'll get it right.
We need the date. This is Nation Nation on the fly.
Yeah, we need a firm date. But
there is a special request from another Oiler who donned the same number, who is upset that Delorier always gets the praise on day 38.
I know about this. They every year talk to each other about it.
Yes. It's a ribbing between the two guys. Delorier always flexes on this guy because he's the one that gets selected. So we have to help out our boy.
Wanye and
Sandwich.
Who?
Wanye and I talked about this a little while ago, and I'm trying desperately. I'm glad you brought it up.
The Bruiser.
Trying desperately to remember to make this happen.
Yeah.
Hey, I got a spin to that. You know what would be cool is if, like, for every 10th number, you did like a listener submission of like maybe their child playing hockey with a jersey on for their number.
That's a good idea.
Give them a little shout out. Like if your kid's number like 27, then on the 27th day you could like spotlight that kid, and that could be the number.
Chalmers, you just got to tell me what number your kids are. I'll get them in there.
My kids are 10 and 13.
Or you could do it like a 2-parted Instagram post where, maybe the first image is the Oiler, then the next image for that day is like a minor hockey player. And then
The
people invested in it.
The sad part for me this year is we won't be able to do, like, my favorite is, because normally we do a 100-day countdown or a 99-day countdown, and normally when it gets to the obvious ones, like last year, I think instead of Connor McDavid, we posted Simeon Rice from back in the day with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and it just drives people insane. Makes me laugh. But you know what? I'm happy to start at 35 or whatever the fuck it's going to be this year. Let's go.
You want an obscure Oilers story that popped into my brain today while I was scrolling Twitter? Do you guys remember Vladimir Thatchev?
No,
remember the kid they invited from junior who came into training camp and like won a spot on the team, and then when they went to go sign him, the NHL's like, you can't do that. That's against the CBA to sign him to a contract, and the Oilers had to like let him go back to junior. Mac T totally bungled it.
That he was like a tiny Russian kid,
he was like
right?
5'6", Vladdy Thatchev.
Yeah,
he played
I
in the
remember
Q.
I remember that.
He scored a goal in the KHL that got disallowed, and then it got retweeted onto my timeline today for some weird reason, and I just totally remembered that like obscure moment in the Decade of Darkness where the Oilers didn't know what the rules were for signing players. Right.
That sounds very familiar. Did he ever play in the NHL?
No. And I think the Oilers, I think the rule was the Oilers, he was still eligible for the draft, so the Oilers couldn't sign him to a contract. And then the Oilers like didn't even draft him or anything the next year. He just like went away.
Weird.
Yeah.
Shocked I didn't know that when my wheelhouse
the Decade of Darkness
is obscure Oilers.
I just went to go hold my coffee mug up to my face because I had it in one hand and accidentally just put my mic right in my mouth. It was very gross. All right, the big story everyone wants an update on. We turn our attention to Mr. Wanye. How many mics have you caught? What's the news?
Listen, I could make a series of jokes, each more off-brand than the last, about how happy I am to be killing mice. I'm not happy. It's not cool to want to kill another living thing. Having said that, these motherfuckers have to die. So,
what's the body count? What is the body count?
I'm going to get to it. Each one is a story. You got to put faces and names here. It's not a statistic, for Christ's sake.
You owe it the honor of sharing its story.
I said aloud to the room, I said, you're not my enemies, but you have to die. I have a child now. Normally, we can all kick it as a crew.
Normally, it'd be like you'd allow some time for reason.
Well, yeah, like a
diplomacy.
Series of, like Home Alone type traps that were like designed to get them to leave, but no, they got to die.
Are you
so
getting
the kill
more
count is 3
every single? That's it.
I know. And I was like, I was at 1, and I was like, this is not going well. So I did whatever I do whenever I have any sort of problem of any sort. I call Japa, right? What do you do when you don't know how to work your furnace, Wanye? You call Japa. What do you do when you blow out the tire and suspension on your SUV? Take it to Japa. What do you do when you got to kill mice? Japa. So Sean Green of Japa came over, and he's like, okay, we're going to go through your house like fucking inspectors and figure out where the mice, A, are, and or B, coming from. And this guy, you'd think he was an exterminator for a living because he knew so much, right? And he's like, you got to set your traps. You got to set all your traps, and then you got to get up every morning and check your traps. I'm like, that's disgusting. I'm not doing it. And he told me a story that made me feel so inferior. I now check my traps. He used to check mouse traps in his house with a 3-year-old Marin Green who works at Japa. And 3-year-old Marin Green wasn't scared to check the mouse traps. So I feel like a 2-year-old Marin Green because I am. So shout out to Marin for being an absolute stone cold killer as a 3-year-old. And since then, I'm getting one a day, man. It's bullshit.
Did he do what I told you to do, and that is like pulled out the stuff from your cupboard?
Yeah.
Did you find mouse droppings in places?
Yes, but nothing in any cupboards. Just a few on the outside. It doesn't look like it's been a mouse house for very long, which is
good.
I never leave my house.
Was he able to narrow down the point of entry?
No, we think maybe the door got left open.
Yep, that'll do it.
You know I don't run a tight door game. What the fuck? Open, close, who knows?
To narrow down the quadrant of the house that they're contained to?
My TV room on the main floor, and then my basement seems to have a couple little droppings hither and thither.
Yeah, basements will be the one.
So it sounds like we're getting it under control.
I don't think so. Now what Chalmers talking about 10 fucking mice around every corner.
Have you gone 2 straight days without a mouse?
Well, I leave a body there as an example to the rest of them. You know you do, right?
No,
So,
you don't do that.
What do you mean? Why not? I want a head on a pike, God damn it.
Yeah,
They don't
it's like
understand that.
putting Piggy's head on a pike. Lesson to the rest of them.
If I'm walking into a cemetery at midnight and I see a dead body, I'm going to turn around and get the fuck out of there.
Yeah, you're a human being. These are little mice that are
They're
down.
not. They're not stupid. They're not.
So
that
they
dumb.
aren't coming near because they see a body.
You have to assume.
Well, I once there's a second body, I get rid of the other one. That's how I'm rolling. There's only one body sitting there. He's always last night.
Huh. I don't think that's a great strategy, but I've never gotten into a war with mice. So
I've got 10 traps out on the main floor, and I've got 8 traps out on the basement floor. I'm rocking 17 greens, 1 red, if you catch my drift.
Did Mr. Sean Green feel that this was an adequate approach, or did he recommend any adjustments?
Well, he had a lot of key adjustments. Like, number one, no one cared to mention, and I didn't know, that you're supposed to put bait in the trap. But he's so nice about it. He's like, so what do you think is going to entice the mouse to come to this trap? And I'm like, the goo. And he's like, no, you have to put peanut butter at the center of the trap. And I'm like, this is going to expedite the murder.
I thought you weren't trapped.
I'm using goo traps, the glue one. Where they run into it and then they stick.
Yeah, I thought that had like a scent to them.
That's what I thought too, but he said we got to put
you have to smear peanut butter on those.
Just in the middle blob.
If you put a snap trap out and don't put anything on it, then yeah, it's like fishing with no bait. If you know what I mean.
Chalmers, if I put
Chalmers, you would know nothing about that. You know you're a chummer.
Yeah, true. If I put a snap trap out, I would snap trap my thumb 3 times and then move.
Yeah.
I got to get the goo traps out there, and I don't care if they squiggle. I don't give a good shit. Squiggle away, you little bastards.
I believe you're winning this war, but I don't think they're fighting it when they see their troops going down.
Well, I'm going to remove them the instant I get back to Wanye Manor now. The point's been proven.
Are you becoming desensitized?
The violence overall, yes. I think this is my gateway drug to serial killing. I think it's one of those things where I'm like, you know what, man? I iced like 6 mice during the pandemic. I don't care. Maybe I should shoot my neighbor.
Maybe.
Right? Who cares?
I can see why you want it.
I don't look the mice in the eye when I'm disposing of their bodies. I just won't look my neighbor in the eye as I dispose of his.
Mm-hmm.
Oh boy.
Basically, what I'm telling you is everything's going great.
What?
What I meant was like, are you desensitized to the images of dead mice? Like, are you getting more comfortable throwing them out? I didn't mean to lead into any murder plans.
I go downstairs in the morning and I wear a bathrobe and winter boots. I have a phone at maximum volume. I go on my tiptoes and check all my traps. Then I go back upstairs to lie down like an elderly woman who's been frightened by the mailman.
Wanye.
Yeah.
Google the hantavirus.
Yeah, I'm well aware. I have a microbiologist for a mother who's like, now you have a bigger thing to worry about than COVID. You're a hantavirus vector. And I'm like, great, I also have syphilis. I don't know how it works.
Oh, boy.
Fuck me in my mouse house. They're all going to die by Christmas time. Chalmers, until I see 10 bodies, I don't think that this is solved. Is that correct?
I don't know, 2 or 3 days, man. 2 or 3 days, and I think like you might not have 10. Like they might not have given birth in your legitimate, like in your actual house. You know,
or maybe you got the mom, the pregnant mom.
I think so.
It's all about a prolonged amount of time without one. If you're doing the exact same things and you're sporadically getting one every couple days, then just you'll know when they're gone.
Well, I don't know because it's basically my worst nightmare, COVID related, to be locked in a house with actual vermin. Mm-hmm. But what I will do is always live with mice traps forevermore. This is part of my decor now.
That's fair.
Have you come close to stepping on one of these glue traps at all?
Yes, I did. I got the rope of my morning robe stuck in one, and it was trailing me, and I thought it was a mouse in it running after me. I will be honest.
Because the reason I ask is you're a no sock kind of guy, and I thought that'd be a tricky situation for you.
Did I ever tell you the story when I stepped on a mouse and killed it? I did, didn't I?
Yeah.
Yes, you did.
That is enough mouse stepping for one life.
Literally last week.
Yeah, good. I've been thinking about it a lot, Chalmers. Every person I talk to, I'm like, mouse. One time I killed a mouse. I'm on repeat.
You phoned me later that day, and I tried to call you back. Was it mouse related?
No. Oh. And when you phoned me back, I'd already retired for the evening. I apologize. I was telling you about unrelated matters.
Okay.
Podcast related.
Yeah.
All right. Makes sense. Does everyone here just walk around their house with no socks on, or are you all sock people?
I hate socks. I take my socks off as fast as I possibly can.
Oh,
everywhere I go.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm kind of a mix. I recently just received a pair of UGG house slippers that I'm breaking in. So I might be a house slipper guy here soon.
I'm a slipper guy. I got these nice lambskin ones. They're running real soft. They're real nice, real strong.
Do you think, Jay, with the new residence that you're moving into, which is a glorious period house, you might adopt the fashion of the day?
Oh,
I could see Jay being a dandy.
Hey, like if you got this is how a robe would have rolled in those days.
Well, this is 70s style, right?
I know, right?
Right. So it's
him.
I'm going to be looking, exactly,
crushed velvet suit.
Yeah, whatever John Holmes wore before he got into a scene,
Embrace this. Okay. Lean into this. This is a very rarely seen look, but you're authentically of this era.
Yeah, and then I've got to wear big sunglasses.
Yes, and have a big, long...
Big chain.
Yeah.
Maybe get yourself some of those shades, too, that they go from, the tint changes as they go down, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And medallions. You got to rock medallions.
And I'll have this big kind of cardboard folded out aluminum paper coated thing for sun, so I can get a good tan.
You gotta let some chest hair come flowing out of your giant collared shirt. It's got a couple of buttons.
Well, the thing is, I've got a lot of chest hair, but it doesn't. It only gets to a certain length.
Mm-hmm. Maybe new 70s Jay has a different mode for chest hair.
Yeah, and then I gotta have the stocked bar where you put booze into glass bottles.
Giant ashtrays that weigh 8 kilograms on every table.
Yeah, definitely have to start smoking.
At least
smoking in the house.
I could see you smoking a pipe. That'd be a real good look for you, I think.
That'd be a good look.
I think I can pull off a pipe. There will be a chapter in my life where I think smoke a pipe.
For real? This is gonna be great.
I don't know. Maybe I think it just looks so cool.
Do a Professor Jay when you're 60 and get one of those jackets with leather patches and unironically smoke a pipe in front of children.
Well, I'm slowly building up. When I turn 60, I'm going to be exclusively a Tommy Bahama model. So I'm slowly building up my wardrobe of Tommy Bahama. I've got 4 or 5 pieces right now, and I just want to wear baggy Tommy Bahama from 60 until the grave.
So
run a stash.
So you're describing my brother-in-law's look. I don't know if you've ever met him, Jay, but he is a Tommy Bahama man with a mustache that's gone back 3 decades now.
That's what I'm talking about.
That's
my spirit animal.
Tom Selleck.
Yep.
All right. This has been interesting.
Chuck knows he knows nothing of what we just spoke of.
Well, I just think that's an odd thing to strive for, to be a Tommy Bahama guy. But I mean, what do I know?
Listen, Tyler. If a Tommy Bahama guy rolls into your house for a party or event, you know that is a good time guy.
I guess that's fair.
It's the lifestyle of the guy in the Tommy Bahama. That's the thing. It just if you're full on Tommy Bahama, you're living a good, relaxed life. And that's the goal at 60.
I want to be a Tommy Bahama guy too, but I want to be just like my Uncle Don used to be, where I have the most golden tan you could possibly have.
Wow.
With white chest hair coming out, with the Tommy Bahama shirt unbuttoned extremely low.
How many buttons?
At least 3. I want it mid-chest.
Yeah.
And I want to have a front porch at that point that really emphasizes the shirt. And a gold chain on, not a thick one, but a modest gold chain.
Yeah,
and a gold watch. And I just want to walk around in those with khakis on and sandals and just live my best life, man.
Do you have a bracelet or rings in this scenario?
I was just gonna say, Chalmers, we're probably gonna have to get into some gold rings too here.
Yeah.
So gold rings. I could do gold rings. I might go silver. I've always been more of a silver man.
You can't return to this era, Chalmers. I knew you when the first move you made when you walked into your house was you would take off a jewelry store worth of jewelry you were wearing for reasons only you knew, and you would make a pile in the house. And then you'd come back and be like, hey, man, I forgot my watch, bracelet, 8 rings, and a chain. You're like, wow, this guy travels heavy.
What I would do is I take the bracelet off, and I put all the rings on the bracelet, and then clasp it together, and put the neck chain on it, and then the watch all around it.
Why wouldn't you just wear your shit?
Where?
You know what? Because I hate wearing that stuff.
Well,
So,
you can't rock it then.
JR and I just bought these Whoops. Not an advertisement here, but we bought Whoop bands, which is like,
Those are the best. I want one.
yeah, it's like a Fitbit times 10. It's more to do with your heart, your cardiovascular.
Yeah. We've talked
about
it's,
science.
It's
Sleep.
It's, oh yeah, okay. So I hate wearing it. I hate wearing anything like that. I hate watches. I hate it. And so, yeah, like I would take my jewelry off because I hated wearing it.
You
But
can't
it
go
looks
back
good.
to it now as a rich elderly man who's tanned.
Yeah,
You're not
but
going to like it anymore.
Hey, I'm doing it for the fashion. That's
That's
why I
true.
did it for the fashion the first time. Remember when I used to wear turtlenecks all the time and bring
Yeah, it was a great look.
Chain
It was
on
a
the
great
outside.
look.
That's a great move.
and a
actually.
backwards Kangol hat?
Yes, you
Shut
look
up.
fly as fuck.
Oh,
it was
yeah.
an
Really?
honor to be out with.
Tom-
Chalmers
buddy,
was a fashion icon.
You
of
used to
West
wear a
Edmonton.
backwards Kangol hat.
And
And
it's
And
owned
look
like,
you in the eye. You knew
Owned
he'd
it.
earned it, like
You
Samuel L.
would bow
Jackson
to
did.
him. You would
Yeah.
bow
Yeah.
to him.
Can you
I-
get a
I
picture of
used-
this to me?
Yeah, I got a question.
I got
Is-
plenty of them.
Was Samuel L. Jackson your inspiration for this look at the time?
I was doing this before Samuel L. This,
Oh, good for you.
this was like late 90s.
That's true. I don't even know where you got the look. You're the first guy I ever saw rocking a
I
Kangol.
worked at a clothing store,
Yeah.
and I remember getting them in stock. So I used to do stock at a clothing store. So I'd get to see all the new merchandise that came in. And the day they came in, we started selling Kangol. And I saw these hats. And I started putting them all on. And when you look in the mirror and you fall in love, you go, listen, this is for me, man.
Yeah, when you know, you know.
They suited my head for some reason, and I liked it. And so I got one with my staff discount that day. So I was one of the first people to buy one. And then I started running it, and it just became kind of my thing.
You used to dress in those days like a 1980s mafia don. Like you would rock chains and turtlenecks and fucking Kangols. It was gangster.
Lots of tank tops and backwards
Remember,
Kangol hats.
and I remember we would get up on like Sunday morning, and and we'd be all hungover, and we'd be at our friend's house, all of us, or we'd be at your house, Wanye, and we'd go to like McDonald's or the convenience store, or we'd eat food. We'd eat food, and I remember our good friend Lee Foot asked me once, "Why do you get dressed up to go to the convenience store?" And he said he never forgot my answer because he changed his ways that day. And I just said, you never know who you're going to run into, because you might have a girl that you really, really like.
Yeah,
you go to the mall and you're looking good, and they go, "Oh my God, he looks good."
It's the slow play. I remember Jay giving me similar advice once. He goes, "Sometimes I like to text chicks in the middle of the day when there's nothing I could possibly want. An idiot texts girls at night only." Or Wanye. Shit.
Damn it. Government name. One sec. I'll get this. 2747.
You have to text them in the middle of the day. And the quote was, to let them know you're there. Jay, thoughts?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Let them know you're there. Why?
There's a guy on this podcast who has, I believe, picked up someone at a gas station because he took care of his appearance to go to the gas station.
Really?
Interesting. Well, it's not me.
Who the hell is that?
I'm not. Today, we know who we are.
I suppose we all do.
Are we talking about because of? And did it have to do with a one Honda CRX that also helped sell the deal?
Well, yes, of course.
Wow.
We always go to a gas station in a Honda CRX.
Interesting stuff.
When one of us was in our Kangol hat era, he had so much momentum everywhere he went. Things were happening.
I was once driving home on a Sunday, and a group of 4 girls pulled up in a Ford Mustang with a convertible off.
Oh boy!
And they were like,
"Oh boy!"
Hey! That's when we stopped at the gas station, and I got the girl's number. I didn't even try. It was fucking awesome. Met her at Julio's Barrio that night.
Wow.
Fuck your fly. Respect.
Well, when you look good, you feel good. When you feel good, you get the confidence of Chalmers. And our friends at Twig and Berries, they can help you do that. See, for most guys, grooming starts and stops with their hair and face. But if your below the belt care consists of only a splash of soap every so often, it is time to upgrade your ball game. You and your boys, they're deserving of a ball-focused hygiene practice that will improve your daily comfort, your confidence, and your skin health. It's a big picture thing.
This company speaks to me. You know I love pubic hair maintenance guidelines being very high.
Our friends at Twig and Berries have launched the Jolly Jewels Holiday Sack Pack. It's up on their website right now, twigandberries.ca, and it comes with 3 products. Let me tell you those product names. You get the ball wash. You use it in the shower. You cleanse them nicely. It works. Then
you put this on your face, you're fucked though, FYI.
Then you get the nut rub. This is for after the shower. Okay, you rub it in, you're feeling, and then
I've been putting the nut rub on all week. Actually, it's very nice. I've got very smooth beans now.
And to finish it off, you give it a little with the sack spray, and there you go.
No,
3 products. 3 products all in one from our friends at Twig and Berries. It's the Jolly Jewels Holiday Sack Pack. Send a subliminal message to the man who you are romantically involved with and pick this up for them. Or if you are a man listening to this podcast, pick one up for yourself. Get ahead of the curve. Get ahead of the curve.
Much more likely.
If you use the promo code Nation15, you're going to save 15%. Twigandberries.ca. We love them.
Listen, we were just talking about some fine dating advice here, and if you got stanky balls, that's not going to do anything for anybody.
Hey,
Twig and Berries.
You never know. What if that gas station encounter led to, a little basement encounter?
Yeah.
It would have been nice to have my Twig and Berries.
Your nut spray.
And I guarantee you in those days, you were taking care of business. I guarantee it.
Tyler, run through the product one more time.
Chalmers would have been using like CK1 for nut spray at that time.
Oh, for sure.
I was more of a Versace blue jeans or a Jean Paul Gaultier kind of guy.
Yes.
Tyler, one more time. Ball wash, yes.
Is step 1. And then you go to the nut rub.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go to the sack spray to finish it off.
Remember in Home Alone when he puts on aftershave?
Yeah.
And Rogaine.
What I'm imagining with sack spray, and I'm sure Twig and Berries this isn't the case, I'm imagining I give one of the boys a squirt and it's hands to the face like Macaulay Culkin, except it's hands to the ball region.
I'll tell you what not to do. If you have this 3-part kit, make sure you put and use the right things and don't grab accidentally the deep cold gel and put that on your nuts.
None of these are eye drops. None.
Nor are they Banaka, yet they may freshen your breath regardless. If things go well.
Okay. So there you go, Twig and Berries. They also have a bunch of other stuff. Holiday stocking stuffers. They also have their holiday gift box, which you can take advantage of. But the product they launched today is just spectacular. And it's a good local company. It's important to be supporting local right now. So check them out, Twig and Berries. St. Albert Company, too, which I love because that's my neck of the woods. That's where I'm coming to you from right now. All right, we got a little bit of time before we get to Scott Hastings. The NHL, this thing's happening, baby. I believe it's January 13. I'm fired up. I hope they can do it safely. I hope it goes off without a hitch. I hope they have good backup plans in place for all of this stuff. But just the fact that we know with a degree of certainty that in January we are going to be getting regular season hockey, that feels good. That makes me feel right inside.
Can I ask a series of questions?
Yep.
You ram check, my source of truth. So there's a Canadian division.
Yep.
Yes.
And are they flying freely between the cities?
Yes, but I believe the plan is that you're going to have road trips that are like, you'll go to Toronto and you'll play the Leafs like 2 or 3 times. And then you'll like immediately jump to Ottawa and play them a couple times and then come home. And like you're going to not be on the road for very long. And they're going to try like limit the number of road trips as well. So like playing it like a Major League Baseball style schedule. Also today, Frank Saravalli floated out the possibility that we could be getting a hybrid bubble to start things. Like all the teams could come to Edmonton for like the first month of the season, and they could crush out like 20 games right there.
Yeah, I mean, even just with COVID numbers as they are right now, makes sense to at least start in a hybrid bubble. Maybe come in for a couple weeks, bounce out for a week. I think that's what they were kind of talking about. At least the early reports, anyway.
Yeah.
No fans anywhere?
Nope, not to start.
How the hell are they doing this?
Not until the seniors get vaccinated in January, then all the lower bowls going to be filled with blue hairs, and it's going to be great. Games
We're
are
all
going to start
show up
at
like
noon.
in the Jackass movie in old people costumes and want our vaccines.
Exactly.
But yeah, so
good news though today. Wanye, you'll like this. Tom Gazzola reporting that Captain Connor McDavid on the ice today with the boys for voluntary workouts. Connor's in town. He's on the ice.
Do you remember when Connor had COVID for an hour and grew an inch in his recovery?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
COVID didn't stand a chance against young Connor.
No, too fast. Can't hit what you can't see.
Exactly.
Jay, your reaction? You're fired up. Is the tsunami wave of excitement hitting you?
Yeah, it's like a double kick of excitement because as the fan, I'm excited that hockey's back because I can't wait to watch it. We've been without it so long because the Oilers, we won't even count the return to play. We have not seen the Oilers play since March 11th.
That one game win, though, was so good, remember? Oh, that was good. That got me through the pandemic in 2020.
Also, that exhibition win over Calgary did it for me.
That was good. So
when they go to Toronto and pound on the Leafs for a week, me and the mice are going to be having a party.
Oh, yeah. Big party. And now the excitement is around, like, now we have stuff to talk about, as the Nation Network. There's a lot of excitement. Now we get to ramp things back up and start doing all the stuff that kind of gets the juices going. So, the fact is the season is back is, like, I guess you could say a little bit relief because it was just hanging up in the ether. You didn't know if it was going to happen or not as a fan and as a person in, I guess, the sports media space. But, yeah, very excited on all fronts, firing up, working on ideas for gear designs, like all the creative juices are flowing. So very, very, very excited.
Even today, I would say, so to take you behind the scenes a little bit, we do a group meeting via Zoom every Tuesday, and the news broke of January 13th mid-meeting. And it was just kind of fun to watch everybody's face light up a little bit that hockey was going to be back. It was like a very solid shift in mood on that meeting, and it was fun.
Zach Lang broke the story inside the Zoom call.
Yeah, that's right.
Great shit. Yeah, it's going to be a ton of fun because I think like when it gets going, and hopefully we don't have very many, or I mean, hopefully none of these like long pauses where like a team has to quarantine and all that. Hopefully they get a little lucky from that perspective. But I think when it gets going, like it's just going to be full speed ahead and it's going to be a ton of fun.
But I also think right now there's going to be a lot of pressure on the players to make sure that they're handling their end of the bargain and keeping themselves safe so that there's not those delays you're talking about. There's a lot of pressure on the players to maintain, to stay inside and,
Do you not think the league is going to try to secure vaccines for players, like, and get them kind of? Yeah. So
they will.
Like, if that happens, because like they've got the money to go and buy vaccines, right? Like, the governments are doing. So, like, if hopefully like there's a early vaccination period for them, and then it kind of just reduces the scares and disruption from doing all the travel and risks that has.
They need to be careful from a PR perspective, though. They do.
But they'll still do it. Guaranteed.
I just think that
they're going to be like, don't talk about it.
Remember that story that came out with the Calgary Flames getting like their flu shots when there was a shortage that one year or whatever? Like that was
oh yeah, good remembering.
That was a bad look. And I think that if there's stories of like people that work in hospitals and stuff not being able to get their hands on a vaccine, but the NHL found a way to buy like 5,000 of them, I don't think
and
that's
yet
what
they will.
I don't think that's what they want. I think they'll wait a respectful amount of time before they buy them.
The thing is, the NHL only needs like 1,000.
Well, you want to get the players and the coaches done, right?
700 players, and then I would just say like 300 support staff around.
Imagine you're on the edge of making the NHL, and they're like, you have to go to the AHL. Can I have a COVID vaccine? No.
Yeah.
You need 2 rounds of it, so you need 1,000 for the first round, and then 1,000 more. So you need 2,000. There's 1,000 players.
It depends which vaccine, though. I don't know if they're each 2 phases or not. Like you're hearing different stories.
I think the one approved in Canada is 2 doses.
Yeah, that's true.
Remember when we talked about the World Juniors and whether or not, like, the Swedish coach just came up? Was that here? Are they here yet, or
No.
when do they come?
They haven't hopped on the plane yet, but that guy's not allowed to come now. They've passed the point where if you have a positive test, you're not allowed in the World Juniors. So Sweden basically has no coaching staff, and they've lost a couple players. Switzerland's lost 3 players. Germany's lost a couple players. Like,
is that why our players
this year?
What was that, Chalmers?
Is that why I saw some Canadian players that were sent home?
Yeah, those guys were kind of cut though. Like they said it was for medical reasons, but those players, like none of them were really going to make the team. I think it was a bit of both. But yeah.
What a third-rate country sending no coaches.
I don't know what they're going to do.
Will Broberg be playing? Is he still of age?
He'll be head coach.
Broberg, he might be head coach. But yeah, Broberg's in the tournament if Sweden comes. There's talk Sweden might not come.
How do they do coaching?
Peter Forsberg will show up. coach
Yeah,
them through,
and play.
and Matt Sundin.
How do they do that? Like, can they name an alternate coach?
I'm not. I honestly don't know the answer to that. I think they can potentially find someone who can, but like the rule is you need to produce like 3 negative tests in a row in order to fly here. So they would have to find someone.
Imagine like 2 Sedins just come out of the floor behind the bench to start the game, and they're like, "We're here now," and then they just start controlling all the players in their minds.
Well, you're joking, but that was talked about because the Sedins I think are in Vancouver. Someone floated that. They were like, why do you not just get the Sedins or like get someone who's in Canada right now who can coach
no knowledge
them?
of coaching whatsoever, just good players, former players.
Be the story of the tournament.
Get Adam Larson to coach him through it.
Before Wanye leaves for Scott Hastings to come in, I wanted his opinion on one thing. Since we're talking about COVID and all that, I want to know, Wanye, do you think we'll be watching movies in movie theaters ever again?
Yes.
Did you hear what HBO Max is doing?
Yes, and it's not going to work, right? They're going to be like,
so?
no, they're going to be like, it turns out we need people to hand over $20 for Mission Impossible 8 to have Tom Cruise make $30 million a minute. Like, HBO Max is going to be able to distribute it, but I think the revenues are never going to be, they're going to have to go back to arena or movie theaters just to get the revenues back.
I would really like that because I think one of my favorite things in the world is going to a movie theater.
Love going to a movie.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite things ever. And I also thought, like, how could you, like, actors' salaries would have to go way down.
Way down.
Because, like, box office is enormous, right?
I think that people are going to want to return to normalcy of the things they love doing, right? And I think that things like movies and shit, people miss them.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be hard, though. Like, if I have the option to pay $10 to watch a movie from my house, or pay $10 for a ticket, or whatever it is, $15 for a ticket to go to a theater, I'm taking my house all day.
I don't go to movies. I've maybe gone, me and my girlfriend have been dating now for 2 years. I think we've gone to like 2 movies together. I prefer my house. I prefer watching it on my TV.
Well, first of all, you've got a huge tactical problem. You're leaving you're wide open for someone to snatch her at a movie.
Yep.
Right? You're going to want to see a movie sooner or later. It's going to go without you. There's going to be a guy who looks sort of like you that loves movies there. What are you going to let him just take her?
Yeah, I suppose that's something
Let her
I'm
take her
opening up
away.
myself to.
Wow.
Well, for me, it's not close. I got snacks and beers in my house, and I got a real nice couch.
Yep, me too. I'm in the same boat as Bag Milk here. I'm not a big movie guy.
There is something though about the night out aspect of it. You go to a movie
getting out
and
of your
there's like the atmosphere
for
and all that
dinner
kind of-
and then going to see a movie.
Yeah.
And there's certain movies that need to be seen in the theater.
Yes.
Okay. I see that. I'm just personally like, I'm even sitting at home and watching a movie. Like, I don't watch a lot of movies. It's just not really my jam.
The popcorn hits a little different at the movie theater, you know?
It's too salty.
Oh, yeah. Too salty. What are you, my grandma?
You know who makes, if you guys get the Kirkland microwave popcorn, it's about as good as it gets. I've been trying to air pop my own, and we're having Friday night movie nights where we watch like The Mandalorian and then another movie.
Air popping's a shit, buddy. Don't eat microwave popcorn.
It is.
Yeah,
but
air popping's the best.
I bought one, and it's like they're chewy. You know what I mean? Like they turn into like chewy little. I know. I bought the wrong kernels, man. Don't skimp on kernels.
No, can't skimp on kernels.
Good advice.
Yep.
Yeah.
Never skimp on kernels.
Yeah.
The evolution of putting chocolate-covered M&Ms in your popcorn,
Yes,
is just the dream.
That is the best.
And you got to shake the bag up so that like 2/3 of the way through the movie, when you think you've eaten all your M&Ms, you've not eaten all your M&Ms.
Not.
No, they're down the bottom.
They're hanging in the bottom, waiting for you, all oiled up.
Your M-Chuck, are you writing this shit down? You really should be.
No, he's stressing because we got to get to Scott Hastings.
I'm not stressing. What am I supposed to be writing down? M&Ms and
all
popcorn?
the goals we're telling you?
Popcorn.
I think we have to change the name of this podcast to The Life Coaching of Tyler Yaremchuk.
Yeah.
We have to help you lead a better life, my friend.
Well, I remember like 3 months ago, Wanye tried to get me to leave and go to Europe for a month.
I still think you should go and be a foreign correspondent. It wouldn't kill you.
I think it honestly might.
Is that a Todd Gurley jersey?
Yeah, it is. It is a Todd Gurley jersey. Wanye, I'm wearing a Todd Gurley jersey on the pod.
That wasn't me that said that. How the hell would I know who Todd Gurley is?
Oh, sorry, I'm in Chalmers. All right. Okay, we're gonna switch gears here and get to our betting expert Scott Hastings from OddsShark.
Goodbye, everybody.
Good luck with the mice.
Make sure you take that government name out your M-Chuck. It's going to keep me awake tonight with the mice.
I have 2 notes written down. I have government name and I have NHL talk.
And throw a third on there. Don't let the missus go to the movie solo.
Yep.
Or else she will run away with someone who's lurking outside the movie theater and looks somewhat similar to me.
Yeah. Maybe an upgrade. All right. Carry on.
There we go. Okay, before I bring in Scott Hastings, though, would the only person on this podcast who got their pick wrong this week please stand up?
I can't. I'm in my truck.
Chalmers, we had a perfect week with the exception of your Steelers pick.
I came in last minute. I made it on the fly because I had to do, and I had 3 games to pick from, and I picked the most sure thing there was. And of course, because football, it was not a sure thing. And I don't know what to say.
I was surprised. Like the Steelers seemed like a really safe bet on that one.
As Scott Hastings, what's up, Chalmers?
This has just been the year. In my opinion, this has been like the year of the look pass game. Like all these teams that should be beating other teams are losing, and that was exactly what I felt happen in Pittsburgh. And Scott, did you hear? I screwed us on a perfect week. You had a perfect 3-0. They went 3-0 collectively, and I screwed us with the Pittsburgh pick.
And you missed the show.
Sorry.
And you missed the show.
That's true. Tell Jay to get me that hoodie, Scott, and then I'll be on every week.
Yeah, Chalmers has been protesting because Jay hasn't bought him an Oilersnation hoodie yet. Scott Hastings, how's it going, man?
Good, fellas. What's going on this week?
Are you a big movie theater guy? Like, do you like going to the theater to watch a movie, or are you more like me and Bagged Milk, who I'm a homebody. I like sitting at home watching the movie on my TV.
Yeah, well, and, you can pause it and run to the washroom. And I don't know why movie theaters don't serve beer. I don't know. Why am I not allowed to have a beer watching a Disney movie at the movie theater? Is that a problem?
they do, but you have to go to the VIP theaters, and they only play like a couple of releases in the VIP theater. So if you want a beer, you got to be in one of those. And if it's not the movie you want to see, you're kind of screwed. But yes, I agree. You should be able to drink as much beer or wine or whatever you want in a movie theater. And you should be able to have basically what they have in some of the states in the NFL stadiums, where you can order it from your phone if you have the app, and they'll bring it to your seat.
That'd be great.
I was in a theater in Texas, and that was what you sat in like a lazy boy, and you got served. It was in Dallas. I can't remember
Alamo
what it was
theaters.
called.
They're unbelievable.
Yeah, and so they serve you throughout the movie. It's unreal.
Yeah,
and you get a blanket.
Yeah, not out here. We don't have any of that.
No. Our liquor laws here are so archaic. It's insane.
Hey, wait. You know what? You guys haven't been to a movie theater. Before the pandemic, probably a couple months before that, at the Simplex Odeon movie theaters, you could get a tall can and go in any theater with it.
Really?
You could get a Bud Light. Yes, you were able to. And I remember that because I was shocked that it hadn't happened sooner. And yes, it was happening. And COVID ruined it all.
If you got a missus with a sizable purse, you can bring in a Camel pack of rum and Coke if you want something.
Well, that's it. You can put a bag of wine in that purse that they bring. But yeah,
a Camelback. Yeah, that's hilarious.
Okay, let's jump into the betting talk here. Actually, no, forget that. Before we get to specific betting talk, we got news from the NHL this week. I mean, the All-Canadian division, it's all but confirmed. Scott, we've never gotten your take on that. Do you like the All-Canadian division here?
Yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun. Although the one concern I have is the travel. Are they going to be a little sluggish going from, Montreal to Vancouver? Yeah. How are they going to set it up? Hopefully I heard somewhere that they might do like a baseball style series where, you play 3 games in 5 days or 3 games in a week or something. That makes it a little more interesting. But yeah, it should be lots of fun. And I love the rivalries that's going to spur. And, this is the first time in quite some years that almost all of the Canadian teams are fairly competitive. Like Ottawa's going to take a step forward. Montreal is growing as a team. Toronto, Edmonton, Calgary. Everyone is very competitive, and it should make for a very fun division.
Stressful division.
It's going to be stressful.
Yeah, stressful.
Big time.
I haven't seen odds for it anywhere, and I'm sure we're going to do a ton of this kind of talk leading up to the season. But if you had to guess right now, is it fair to assume the Leafs will be the favorites in that division from a betting perspective? And part 2 of my question is there a team who's going to be a little lower down that odds list who you kind of like as a good sleeper?
Yeah, so I would have to assume the Leafs or Edmonton. I think they're going to be 1-2. Okay. Probably, I would say, you might get the Leafs at plus let's say 300, Edmonton plus 350. And then I'm interested to see what Ottawa does. Thomas Chabot, I don't know if you guys are familiar with, he's so good. I watched him when he was in junior here and just an absolute stud. So I do look forward to seeing what their defense steps up and how much better they get. And then, Brady Tkachuk, another year of development and such like that. They had how many top 5 picks now? 3 top 5 picks in the last 2 years. So they're a little still on the young side of things. So I don't know if they can really challenge to win the division, but I think they're going to be scrappy as all hell.
Fun to watch.
Yeah, big time. And they were a tough out last year. They were a very good underdog team last year. They were not a team that you could just walk in and run and blow them out of the water. They were competitive. They were scrappy. Getting Anderson out of that team, I think it's a good thing. I think Ottawa is really tough.
Plus, they're going to be getting like an interesting, like high-end player because of the contract issues of like Tampa or Vegas. Yes. That'll probably be a landing spot where they get like a legit veteran to come and probably even help the kids. So
the shortened season might also help them out, especially 56 games. They match up well against Montreal. Toronto always lays duds against lesser teams, so I'm sure they'll sweep the season series or something there. So there's a path for them to be very competitive in that division.
I know Bag Milk usually asks the rookie betting question of the week, but we got a DM this week on Instagram from Alex Antosh, and his question was, when you look at like different spreads, you can bet a game at -11, or you could go in and bet it at -10.5, or if it's a 10-point spread, you can get it at -9.5. Is that a way for a rookie bettor to maybe increase their odds of getting a bet, just going in and taking that half a point? Is there times where there can be value in that?
Yeah, definitely. Not only does it give you the extra breathing room of that half point, but also you can potentially get a push, which, if you listen to Ninja on Guys and Bets, Ninja says a push is a win. So, that you can count that up as your record getting better. It all depends on what the juice would be, because typically if you're buying a half point in basketball or football, it's only like 10 cents a juice. So it's not a bad investment, because at that point you're a rookie bettor. You're just looking to get some wins under your belt. So I don't mind it. I've been knocked out by the hook so many times where, you bet on a team to win by 3.5 and they win by 3. It happens all the time. And buying that extra half point over the stretch of your betting career, it is definitely worthwhile. I don't usually do it though. Just saying, I'd rather just risk it for the biscuit, but it is a wise investment.
Let's dig into Week 14 here in the NFL before we get to our picks, and a couple of matchups that jump off the page to me from an odds perspective. Buffalo and Pittsburgh, partially because I am a Bills fan, despite the fact I'm wearing a Rams jersey right now. But the Bills started as underdogs when the lines opened. That game's now jumped. The Bills are favorites after being underdogs against San Francisco. This feels, even as a Bills fan, like a little bit of an overreaction here. But what do you think of this game?
Yeah, I think that's just coming home.
Yeah.
You see that West Coast, East Coast. I find sometimes the odds makers do over adjust from that line shift or the travel shift, if you will. That said, Pittsburgh as an underdog feels like an auto bet. Just an 11-1 team. They had trouble moving the ball over the last 2 weeks, but James Conner should be back in the lineup. That helps, because Benny Snell, I thought he was going to take the ball and run with it, and he did the complete opposite. He was horrendous. I'll call it like it is. I thought Benny Snell was absolutely atrocious. So I think James Conner in there helps them out a lot. And they mentioned that in the broadcast in their loss there, that they had no ability to run the ball. James Conner back in the lineup will help them run the ball for sure. And that just makes them much more dynamic. So I think as an underdog, an 11-1 team, it's an auto bet. It's like Green Bay was an underdog, 2-3 weeks ago. And it's just one of those ones that it may lose, but it almost feels like you're an idiot if you don't bet it.
As a Bills fan, I won't be betting on them, but I'm a little bit less inclined to bet on the Bills this week just because of that. And as someone who has Benny Snell in our Nation Real Life Fantasy League, and I'm probably going to miss the playoffs, I was not happy with his performance either.
Yeah, me too.
Another matchup here. Like, how much do you read into momentum in the NFL? Because I'm looking at the spread in that game between Chalmers Cardinals down in Arizona and the New York Giants. And I'm like, that's, to me, a 2-point spread in that game, especially with Daniel Jones still up in the air, I'm not buying it. Like, I think the Cardinals are a better team than that, although they are coming off some losses.
Yeah, there's something to be said about momentum and like a team gelling, as opposed to just like a run of they get a few wins or they have a few losses. I look at New England, and that's a team where I feel like they're starting to gel both defense and offense. And you know, it came up 45-0 beatdown over the Chargers last week, and it almost looked like both sides of the ball knew what they wanted to do to put a game away. I like the Giants here as an underdog. Sorry, Chalmers, but I do. I think they're starting to get it together. That offensive line is starting to really pick it up, and that's where I thought when at the draft, because they had the fourth overall pick and they took an offensive lineman out of Georgia, and I thought that was really going to help Saquon. Saquon, of course, who was out, but Wayne Gallman is a viable back. The problem is if you go with Colt McCoy, it gets a little sketchy pretty quickly.
See, my thing about the Arizona Cardinals is if you really look at them, I also am like your Remchuk, where the optics of them are they're just a better team. They have better personnel, but they are a Hail Mary away from being 0-6 in their last 6 games, which is bad. And they're not great teams in there. You know, like they lost to Miami when Miami was changing their quarterback. They lost, they lost to a lot of the games are by 3, but like they lost to the Bills by 2. You know, they're close games, but they almost lost that Monday nighter to the Seahawks, and that was the peak of their season. It's been downhill from then. And Tyler's not playing the way he was. There's rumors out there that he's he's come up limp in some part of his body, that he's injured, and it scares me. And like the Giants, I mean, they showed me something last week, that's for sure.
Yeah, I've heard Kyler Murray's dealing with some rib injuries. That's what I had heard. So that's not definitely good for a guy that's going to run and throw the ball across his body as opposed to sitting in the pocket and letting it go. I think he's definitely hindered by that. I also find he's second guessing himself, and that's an issue for a young quarterback. Because typically he just knows what he's going to do. He's going to tuck the ball and run, or he's going to throw it to D-Hop. And it seems like he's second guessing, and the wide receivers are maybe pulling up a little bit or trying to. It just seems like they're out of sync. So I like the Giants here as an underdog spot.
And there was one play in that last game where I have to agree with you, because he didn't see D-Hop on a route, and you could just see it in his face that Hopkins was like, DeAndre Hopkins was just like, you can tell he's like he's questioning like what's going on right now. Yeah. He looked defeated in that moment, and that kind of those little tiny snippets, they tell a story. You know what I mean?
Yep, totally.
Before we get into our picks, you're talking about young quarterbacks, and that leads me to jump to Jalen Hurts. New Orleans, Philly. We got New Orleans. I believe they're 7-point favorites in this one. But with a guy like Hurts, who we really don't know a lot of, we've seen him a little bit this year, but that always leads me to want to stay away from a game when it's a rookie quarterback coming in, just because I really don't know what's going to happen with that performance. Where do you come out on Jalen Hurts in Philly? Is that going to give them a spark, or do you think this could lead to New Orleans covering that spread?
Well, I don't know how much college you guys follow, but of course he got bumped for Tua in Alabama, but then Tua got hurt in the college football semifinals, and Jalen Hurts came in and brought them back from the depths of despair to win that game. Hurts is a good, reliable quarterback, and I just think that Philly is a complete basket right now. I just think there's so many issues. Their wide receivers are not helping out Wentz. They're not going to help out Jalen Hurts. They can't get any separation. They look like they're running in mud out there. Fulgham had that little stretch there of 3 or 4 weeks where he looked like he might emerge into something, and he hasn't. Rieger, their first-round pick, has been non-existent. The offensive line is trash. Miles Sanders helps things definitely, but there's no way that I can back Philly in this spot. And then going against just a scrappy defense that we're seeing from New Orleans, it's no. Sorry, Philly.
Do you ever remember seeing a fall like this? 2 years ago at about this time, Carson Wentz was being talked about as an MVP candidate. And now he can't keep his job. And you see those receivers. You're right. They are not helping him, right? But I just feel bad for that guy because he's getting no help. There's something about him that people just don't like. And when you got a guy like Jalen Hurts, who you said, like, he comes with a lot of pedigree, you know. So I feel bad for that guy, but I've never seen anything where, you know, he's getting MVP talk this late in the season 2 years ago. And now he lost his job. That's a fall.
But they can't cut him because then the Eagles would owe him something like $59 million.
He signed one of those big contracts when he did. It was crazy to think that he was getting it. And he was an older quarterback coming into the league.
Yeah.
So he was 28 years old, I think, when he was drafted, was he not?
He
was on the older side,
Yeah.
All right, let's dig into our picks here for the week. Just going back and looking at how we did last week. Again, Scott, great week for yourself there. Chalmers, you're the only one of us to miss it. But just our records on the year here. Chalmers, you're now 5-8. I'm 6-7, so I'm getting close to that 500 mark. Jay, you are 4-8-1, so you're almost catching Chalmers. Bagged Milk, an unbelievable 9-4 on the year. You've nailed your last four. And Scott Hastings, you're up to 16-8 in your predictions on this podcast, which is, I mean, that's why we call you the expert. You're nailing almost everything right now. But you bounced back from going 1 for 3 in week 12, perfect 3 for 3 in week 13. Chalmers, we'll start with you this week. Where do you want to go for your pick?
Okay, so I am going to a game that I really don't want to go to. I wanted to bet something that was going to be a little bit more fun to watch, but I'm picking something that's just kind of glaring to me. Right now, the Bears are a mess. And the Houston Texans lost a game last week, just, you know, right at the end of the game, kind of a fluke fumble. I think Deshaun Watson, even though he's lost his number one wide receiver, he's still got good pieces there. So I am taking the Texans -2.
I think most have him at -1.5 right now. I'm looking on OddsShark right now. So you're getting him at -1.5 here for the sake of the contest. Next, we'll jump down to Jay, who got Detroit +3. Fantastic stuff last week. So where are you going this week, Jay?
My coach theory came to fruition yet again.
You got lucky though, man.
You did, yeah. Wow, it doesn't matter. It's what was the score?
Yeah.
The right one.
You're right.
James pushes coach theory all the time.
Matter. Coach theory always wins.
Hated that guy.
So much so, I went skiing this past weekend, and someone ran into me, and they listened to this podcast, and they said, "Who do you got?" And I walked them through the coach theory, and I said, "You take Detroit," and I said, "You take them on the money line."
Nice.
And
all right.
he did. So what? Yes. So what I did this week is I parlayed Detroit money line with my Brownies money line.
Ooh.
And that paid like almost +800. It was glorious.
Yeah,
that's a great bet. Good job.
Yeah, that was great. Thank you. I had to share that. You only ever talk about the wins, never the embarrassment, right?
So who's your pick this week?
I'll always support the fact that the Brownies are plus points, even though they're a better record than Baltimore. Maybe given, I don't know if it's the quality of competition or whatnot. That game scares me, but I'm definitely pulling for my Brownies. So don't be afraid to look at the Browns on that. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to parlay them with, that's how I'm going to do it. I'm always going to parlay my Browns with
what
something.
Is your pick?
I am on the Washington football team train.
Wow.
Okay.
So I was impressed with what they pulled off this week. Their defense is fucking insane.
They are.
Alex Smith is getting it sorted. I know Gibson might be out, but McKissick is a nice backup option. I have him on my fantasy team. I know that for a fact. So I'm going Washington +3.
All right. I don't hate that either. I think that's a good choice. And Scott, you're nodding your head. Like that Washington defense, they prove something.
I've been talking about it all year. Montez Sweat and Chase Young. Yeah, I'm an Ohio State fan. So Chase Young, when he went to Washington, I had some choice words when I was watching the draft because that's not where I wanted to see him go. Get out of the NFC, anywhere else. And knowing that a Dallas team would have to face him for the next 10 years, a guy that I could totally see be a Hall of Famer in the future. That guy's an absolute weapon. And when he was in Ohio State, just absolutely shredded opponent offensive lines.
For my pick, I do not trust my Buffalo Bills this week. I don't want to take them as favorites against an 11-1 team, kind of the reasons you said, Scott. So I'm going to go Detroit last week frustrated me because I bet against them. I shouldn't have faded Jay. I apologize. But I don't
apologize to yourself.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to be able to keep it close against Green Bay. So I'm going Green Bay -8. I think Detroit might put up 14 to 20 points still, somewhere in that range, but I think Green Bay is just going to torch them. Green Bay -8 is my bet this week. Before we get to the expert, Scott Hastings, Bag Milk, where are you going?
Excuse me, I am expert light, I feel like, right now. I'm going to be going Kansas City is in Miami. They're 6-0 on the
I
road.
fucking knew you were going to go to Case. You're so predictable. You love the Chiefs.
I do. I'm a Chiefs guy. I'm going to go
9-4 record speaks for itself.
I know. I know.
KC over Miami.
-7.
They're 6-0 on the road. I'm liking Mahomes. Give it to me, big man.
All right, there you go. And Scott Hastings, where are you going this week?
All right. Well, you guys have hit on a couple of mine already. My best bet here, it just seems like a no-brainer that the Bengals 3.5-point underdogs at home to Dallas all day. Dallas is horrendous. Andy Dalton's going to throw more picks that he used to do in Cincinnati. Dallas 2-10 against the spread. Cincinnati 7-4-1. Yeah, all day. I like the Bengals just to outright win that game. I just think Dallas is horrendous. My second one, I'm going to go with, let's go with the Giants +2. I like that game against Arizona. I just think that two teams trending in opposite directions, and I haven't liked what I've seen out of Kyler Murray recently. So I like where the Giants are headed, and so 2-point underdogs there. And then I got to get my revenge against Bag Milk. I got to do it. We're going with the Dolphins +7.
Yeah,
that one, I wanted a spot last week, but I liked his pick, so I couldn't fade him. But I got to go at him this week. Fins up.
We were friends.
In Miami, we're not. We're going head-to-head. Maybe next
Battle of the experts.
Next week we will. Yeah, so I like Miami +7 here. I think they just sort of keep it tight. That defense is playing well. And Casey had some offensive struggles a few weeks ago. And I don't know if they're really up to tune either. So give me the Fins and get my goddamn revenge.
All right, Scott, as always, man, appreciate your time.
Wait. Before he leaves,
okay.
I just want to start always asking you about Thursday Nighter. The Thursday Nighter tonight, Rams-Patriots. Rams are a 4.5-point favorite. What do you think tonight?
Yeah, I'm not sold on this game. It's going to be a good game. Don't get me wrong. I just didn't have a strong feel with it. I've got Pats covering and the over, but I'm personally probably not going to play anything. I might play a touchdown scorer later on.
Who would you take?
I haven't looked at the odds. I was all over Cam Akers the last few weeks.
Yeah.
I knew I had heard the game. Maybe I can't remember who they were playing, but they had talked about him starting to take over the backfield. And he only got like 2 touches that game, and I was like, "It's coming." I bet him the next week he was +400 to get a touchdown. And he did, and he's looked terrific. So Cam Akers, depending on what his odds would be. But yeah, Rams to win, Pats to cover, and the over.
All right.
It's always tough when you got a guy like Cam Akers and Robert Woods and Cup to bet, because I like to bet the first touchdown scorer of the game.
Sure.
And I usually like pad one team, because you put $10 on it, you're usually getting +450 for the bet, like the worst odds, you know? And it can be plus 1,000 for a wide receiver. So
yeah.
I like those bets, and I always pick one side. So
yeah,
I'm going to go Rams tonight.
Pat's defensive touchdown's an interesting spot too.
All right, leaving us with some juice there. Thanks, Scott.
Take care, guys.
New England tonight.
All right, there you go. That's Scott Hastings from OddsShark.com. Check them out. It's your spot to become a better bettor, a smarter bettor. They got all the odds listed there. They got expert advice from their great staff of writers. They got the supercomputer as well. OddsShark.com. Guys, enjoy the Thursday Nighter tonight. And when we talk on Monday, we'll have our picks to dissect, but we're also going to be, 4 days closer to NHL hockey. So there you go. Thanks for your time today, guys.
Okay. One quick thing. Is it playoffs start when? Next week in our fantasy football league?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So this is a big week. So our fantasy football league right now is looking like myself, JR is in the playoffs, Mahomes and Mundair, and number 1 draft pickle, who was the profile from last week, Felton. There is a play for somebody to get in. Gimme more, but your Chuck, I think you might be... you're still kind of in it. You'd have to have a big week.
I need some things to break my way. I think I might be done, and it's going to be a tough conversation with my GM at the end of the year.
It's the best time of year, boys. Everybody enjoy it.
All right. Have a good one, guys. This episode 238 of the Real Life Podcast, brought to you by our friends at Twig and Berries, and of course, Oodle Noodle, is over.
Great job on making it through the entire hour of the Real Life Podcast. Don't forget to like and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts from.